Hey, welcome back. I started making a engine installation video, and quite frankly, I just wasn't in the mood that day. So we got the engine in. I've gone through and pretty much have everything assembled now, down to just a few minor details like the air filter and the oil pump drive assembly. So I got to put that stuff in. Other than that, it's ready for the first start. Check it out. So I replaced the old oil pump drive assembly, and I turned the original one into this engine priming tool. You can see it's got a hex head there. I marked it with that line, which lines up with the direction of the slot. Here's the new oil pump drive. You see it's got the cam gear on there. I took the other one off, the old one, and yeah, this thing's gonna drop right in. Oh, one thing to note, I've got it pinned. You can see that little alignment tool goes through there and through there. And right now, can't really see it, but the engine is set up so the number one piston is at top dead center. It's just gonna go like that. There we go, that's seated. This is the cam position sensor. Just basically it's a Hall effect sensor inside there, and it senses the rotation of the camshaft. So here we are. Everything's been checked. Oil level is good. The coolant is topped off. No leaks. Everything is secure and tight. Air filter is installed. Oil system has been primed. I think we're ready for first engine start and initial braking. Well, it didn't fire right up, so it can only mean it's not getting fuel, it's not getting spark. So yeah, let's work on this. That didn't work either. The only thing left, I don't want to say the only thing, there's still a few things I gotta check, but I'm not getting any RPM, so I'm thinking it's this crankshaft position sensor. You can tell this thing's original. It's got a Chrysler part number on it. 20 years old, 200,000 miles, so yeah, it's probably due no matter what. So right now I've got the old crank sensor out and the new one right here next to it. I've got a lead connected to the center pin. I'm checking resistance, the old one. So I go and check the A pin against the B pin. The resistance is infinite, just goes off the charts. off it. Back on it. Bam, off the charts. Off it. On it. All right. Same test, except now I'm connected to the new cam sensor. Okay. Check the pins. Bam, right there, about 1300. Whereas the other one was off the charts. So I'm pretty sure this old crank sensor was bad. Let's put the new one in and see what happens. All right, that thing's in. Just need to route this wire up across the top and over to the other side, and we should be good. All right, third time's a charm. Cam position sensor, that's all I can say at this point. All right, so a little bit of troubleshooting on the crank position sensor. The old one was definitely on its way out. I don't know if it failed completely, but I replaced it nonetheless. Also replaced my ignition rail because it was original, 200,000 miles. So I figured with all of this other work, complete overhaul of the engine, new ignition was in order. Also eliminates any questions about the issues I'm having. The crank position sensor is being replaced, a new one's on the way, but I gotta reestablish the timing for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the pull the spark plug off number one, get back to top dead center on the compression stroke, reestablish the timing for the crank position sensor, and go from there. Normally, to see the timing marks, you got to get way down inside and look at the front of the timing cover in relation to the harmonic balancer. There's a tiny little mark on there, which is almost impossible to see when everything's all put together unless you get a mirror flashlight. I did a little workaround knowing that there might be a chance I might have to look at that spot again once everything's put together. So I made a little cheat for myself. Let me show you. Factory location for the timing mark is, I don't know if you can see it, it's not focusing. Can't even point to it, but it's right there, that thing up there, which lines up to a dot on the side of the pulley, which you can't see either right now. It's kind of right there, really hard to see. But what I did, when I put it all together, I made a secondary mark right there, so I could see it real easily without taking anything apart. So both of those are lined up. I know I'm on top dead center on the number one. There we go. You know what, it's pretty darn close, probably about as good as it's gonna get. It's either gonna be a little bit that way or a little bit that way. So we're gonna go with this, see what happens. All right, so now we got the cam position sensor reestablished with the timing of the engine. Put it all back together and see if this thing works. Still no light off. All right, so I've been running through the diagnostic troubleshooting guide that's published and part of the factory service manuals. It's a multi-step process, and it has you going through and pinning out all the connectors for the different sensors. And I was getting voltage and all that stuff was fine. I was able to get the system to throw a code P03 320, I think it was. So that was on the crank position sensor. I know that sensor itself was good because it's new. I checked voltages on the plug. I was getting voltage, and then I was checking the resistance between the sensor harness and the vehicle harness side, and it was an open. So there was no resistance, or I should say it was infinite resistance. It was just an open line, and it's supposed to have less than 5 ohms. So right away that told me there was a problem. Put my probes, my multimeter probes, on the on 2 of the pins, and sure enough, I have continuity. So I started playing with the wire harness, moving around, and then it went away. So that tells me right there I've got a break in the insulation somewhere in that harness. Luckily, it's not too deep. Let me show you. The plug for the harness that we're talking about, and you can see I got my 2 probes in there. Here's my multimeter. I'm gonna go over to continuity. Bam. Move this harness around a little bit. You can hear it. So that harness right there needs to be repaired. All right, we got the wiring harness issue all solved. Starter's back in, we should be good. I got a little oil leak I know that I gotta address. Let me just see if this thing fires first. Helps if I connect the battery.